Hi, folks. You caught me. You are watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks. I'm Mike Morales here in the armpit of the San Gabriel Valley. That guy out there is
Skip Falconer in Los Angeles.
Skip and I are very fortunate because we have a brand new tequila just came on the market, and you're welcome. You're welcome. It's De Nada Tequila. I love the name. I think it's very catchy because when you can take this. I gotta tell you, the Blanco, we flipped over it, and when you take it, for a barbecue or to a friend's house or whatever, and they say thank you, you say De Nada. That's really interesting because I wish there was a mezcal called Gracias. There is actually, but it's called Gracias a Dios. Thank God. But that's a whole other expression. But this one, I love this De Nada. That's so clever. It is, if you look at it, it's a textured label. It is being made with used agave fiber. And before we go into any more of the ins and outs, there's a lot of information we want to cover. I want to taste the juice first because there's a couple of interesting things that we discovered in our research. Because Skip and I have done. There was a press release that came to us by Hannah Lee and her associates. She's been in the PR business for years, strictly doing spirits, and so she made us aware of this, and I had to jump on it because of the distillery it comes from. It is known 1414. That's Feliciano Vivanco and Asociados, and it's very near and dear to our hearts here is Tequila Aficionado. So I gotta pour some in my Glencairn, and
I'm using my Jarrito.
Oh, see, so we went, and that's cool. We flipped directions. The Jarrito and the Glencairn, ideal for tequila, and I have several Riedels. I still use those on occasion, but the quality and of the tequila nowadays has really outpaced the Riedel in many cases. And you know what, Skip? I looked at my bottle and I said, this is really dark for a Reposado.
Yes.
Although the press information says that it's a light color, I don't see it being very light, though.
No, what they're doing is blending añejos with it.
Yeah, there was the information that we had in the. I thought maybe they were using older barrels, or they were aging it longer. How old did they say they aged these?
4 months.
You see, for 4 months.
4 months. American oak, American white.
Yeah, beautiful lakes and tears, though. By the way.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a beautiful.
Like that Blanco.
Yeah. Yeah, the Blanco had, you could just tell it had thick tears, and they were natural. It wasn't thin. These are gorgeous. I wonder, I don't know if you can see that on my camera, but we're in the middle of the afternoon here, so the lighting's not the best. So anyway, that's why I pulled out my Glencairn. I said, well, I'm expecting it to have a lot more character. And then when I read the press information, they're making a big the brand itself, and we'll tell you more about the brand owners in a second. The brand itself is making a point to tell you that it's additive free, and that's because the distillery itself it's on a voluntary basis has decided to let the company that is letting people know what is additive free and what's not. They just let them come in and say, here, look under the hood. We don't care. And they've been additive free forever. And if anybody knows anything about the Gnome 1414, their tequilas are stellar. They have great brands that come out of there, and not a bad one in the bunch.
Stellar.
Yeah. So they're saying that in order to keep the consistency in color from batch to batch, they are using añejo tequila for coloring. But apparently they can do it in a certain way. They can still call this a reposado instead of a reserve or reserva or some other fancy name that they give to tequilas that have been rested in repo barrels and then um, blended. Because I think Mi Genta does a blend of 3 barrels to get their reposado.
Yeah.
This one is not blended with a particular barrel so much as they're blending it with an añejo for color only. So what do we get on the nose? Oh. See, I'm getting more agave than I get wood notes.
I get cooked agave, yes.
This is almost like the wood is bringing up more of that briny, that olive smell that you were mentioning.
I'm getting some vanilla.
Okay. Again, we just broke the seal on these, before we came on, and virtually no alcohol at all.
Oh, none. This is a very nice nose also. Good caramel.
And it's kind of like a light toast. It's kind of it's not heavy. I'm not sure how the flavor is going to be though, because this is giving me a lot more of the Blanco character, and I was expecting more of the wood notes on it, but maybe it hasn't opened up yet. Maybe that's the thing.
Yeah. I'm getting some oak.
See, you've got the wider nose, wider mouth surface. Wow, I'm finally getting alcohol. It's finally at the bottom, but you really got to search for it. And again, it's not that this is a bad thing. It really isn't.
And there's some black pepper that I seem to be getting right in the center.
Okay, I'll buy that. I was looking for more baking spices, but I'm not getting that either. That's okay.
No, I'm not getting any baking spice.
I say we dive in. What do you think?
I think so also.
Yep, we got to go. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Wow. What just happened? Wow. Wow.
It's very, very spicy.
Yeah. And that's from the barrel and probably some of the añejo they're using.
Yeah. It's really spicy.
It's kind of like a cinnamon spice, like a hot cinnamon.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I was expecting something more on the flavor profile than I did on the nose. As I mentioned, for me on the Blanco, it was pretty single faceted. It was just agave. I wasn't getting any citrus, but we did get some olive, and we got more vegetal. Okay.
Right.
And they are using brick ovens. That's their MO. There's no autoclave. So that's how they're making this tequila. The spiciness has to be from it's like a pepper. It's like a blend of pepper and cinnamon, like a hot cinnamon. It has to be from the barrels, and whatever blending they're doing with the añejo, it's giving it that extra kick. I think.
Mike. Now I'm getting some on the nose. I'm getting some fruit.
Wow. Not only am I getting some of that really nice brininess over that olive oil,
Hmm.
olive juice, it's got a great finish. Um, there was on the retro nasal, I was getting I want to say something like a slightly bitter chocolate, but it's at the very tail end, like at the rear of my palate, and it's not a bad thing. What I'm telling you is that it's very faint, but it's there, and it's finishing dry.
Yes, yes, yes. I get that bitter chocolate too. But you know what? Also, I get sort of a butter type of flavor.
Okay, I will buy that too. There's like a you mean like a hot buttered rum or something like that? Like it's a
Yeah.
I'll buy that. I'll buy that. I think it's a blend the blending of the bitter chocolate and a little bit of that olive oil and it turns into this butter.
It's
Like an olive butter maybe.
it's really nice. It's really
Yeah,
nice.
it's really
The
different.
finish is very, very nice also.
Wow, and it's not very sweet either. I mean, the Blanco was sweeter.
Yes. Yes, I think so also. Yeah.
So, yeah, so this is great for me. This would be a great after dinner. I think it would, and it's got enough character to carry off a food pairing.
Mm.
I think you could pair it with like it doesn't have to be Mexican food. It could be like a great Italian dinner. Um, After dinner, I think it's got enough character even to even stand up to a cigar. Probably
Okay.
not a real robust cigar, but yeah, I could see myself, sitting down with a cigar. Um, I had my first real cocktail about during Memorial Day weekend. My sister-in-law made me a Latin Manhattan. I think this would stand up to a Latin Manhattan.
Mm.
Are you a cocktail guy when you go out?
I used to be margarita guy.
Oh well, yeah. I think we all did that.
Yeah. But no, no longer. I'm always ordering neat.
Yeah. Once you've been able to go through like Skip, by the way, for all those of you who are just joining us and don't know, Skip is our first graduate of the Consumer Catador course, and you can see his video and his final is now streaming on our YouTube channel. Uh, and he did so well with the tequila that he didn't know that he had not. In fact, I don't know if I even told you when I selected the tequila you did your final with is because myself and one of my other TJs had already done the review, but it hadn't been processed. It was in post production. So if you had hit all the high points without ever seeing the original video, then I knew that we did our job in the course, and you did with flying colors. So the next obvious step is make Skip. He's our newest TJ, and I kind of yeah hey. So long story short, once you learn to dissect tequila, it's rare that you go back to cocktails. Every once in a blue moon, we do many tastings of agave wine. We do margarita mixes. The RTD, ready to drink category is exploding. We've done several reviews of those that are just stellar, and I can see the quality. The younger generation that is up and coming of brand owners is surprising to me because some of them are really, really sticklers for quality. This is a quality that I was not expecting. Um, I knew that there was something to it when I read the original press release and I saw they sourced their tequila at Gnome 1414. It turns out the owners are Daniel Neeson and Adam Millman, I believe, is their partners, and they're partners in a company called Pine Outfitters. They make clothing out of recycled bottles. I don't even know how that works.
Yeah.
Every time you order from their store, they plant a tree. There's a foundation where that happens. I'm not exactly sure what's going on, what they're doing with the tequila. One thing that we found out that I hadn't had a chance to read, this is the longest press release I've ever seen. Of course, it's Hannah Lee and Associates, so I figure that's why, because she knows booze. As I scroll down at the bottom, I found out that Daniel Neeson is Liam Neeson's son. You know, the guy with a particular set of skills. That guy, yeah, the guy you don't piss off. He's Daniel's son. I had no clue, had no idea. You know, I rarely keep up with celebrities. Actually, I do, but not probably as much as I keep up with celebrities in tequila. You know, the word smooth and tequila are two words that should never be in the same sentence. And I know they use it on their label here.
Yeah.
But it's really not. It's complex. And you're right, Skip. There's a butteriness that makes this añejo much more approachable.
Reposado.
Yeah. Well, there's an añejo involved in the reposado.
Yeah.
That makes it, that gives it, I think, that buttery quality. So that I think it's accomplishing two things. It's giving it a much more deeper color, and it's giving it much more character than the, 8 months in a single barrel and just bottle it that way.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really something. What else can we discern from the what's our price point on this? Do we have any?
This is in between $42.99 and $46.99.
Wow.
Bad.
No, you could worth every penny.
Yes.
It's probably, I think it's being undersold. If it were me, but again, we don't make up the prices. That the bottom line is the guys that make up the pricing are the distributors and the retail guys that they deliver to. Those are the ones that are making up the pricing. We can suggest, there's an MSRP on that, but that doesn't. That all that is a vague guideline. That's beautiful. Look at the letters on that thing. Streaming, just beautiful streaming. There were two things we found. The other thing on the process, of course, if you know anything about the distillery, copper pot stills, natural fermentation. It is open air fermentation. I've been to this distillery with another master distiller, with another brand owner, David Suro, when he took me to Feliciano Vivanco and Asociados. Some people call it Rancho Viva Mexico or Tequila Viva Mexico. He said to me that the secret to the distillery and the flavor profiles in the tequila are all the fruit trees that are surrounding the distillery. And when you have open air fermentation, that all that lends to what goes into the final product. And I believe that when you've had enough blancos, especially from this distillery, that they tweak their blanco every time. It's never been the same blanco. There's always something different that they do to it, and they have to. Otherwise they're just slapping a label on the same juice, and you don't want that.
Right.
That's not how, and obviously that's not how they do business, because these guys, Millman and Neeson, they visited like 10 distilleries before they made up their mind. So I've had one other tequila coming out of there just recently. Juan Lobo is another one. This is different than Juan Lobo, because Juan Lobo to me is very rustic, more old school tequila. This one is kind of it's got a newer vibe to it. I was telling Skip off camera that what we're seeing as a trend is that there's more, the younger the newer generation of brand owners, the less they have a natural progression from Blanco, Repo to Añejo. Many of the brands that we're seeing now are only coming in Blanco and a Reposado, and the Repo will have more character in it, so there's really not a necessity for an Añejo.
Right.
And that makes it much more price friendly for up and coming millennials who don't have a whole lot of cash, whereas guys like well, maybe guys like Skip, because I wouldn't, but we spend more money on the more extra aged, that kind of thing. I've been a Blanco guy for a long time, but I'm really liking where this trend is going.
Yes.
Wow,
Have you mentioned the champagne yeast that they're using?
Mention that, because on the press release they're saying that they are cultivating their own yeast.
Yeah. Oh.
What did you find in the information you found?
The information I found that they're using champagne yeast, and it's the yeast, from the grapes of the champagne.
Right. Well, see, that's generally what I've known this distillery to use, because that is another signature stamp that was designed for them by the master distillers who designed the process of using the Mozart method. They play Mozart they play classical music during fermentation. That is one of the signs that they do. And the other one is that these guys use champagne yeast. That's what you found. Yes. The press release says something different. And I will tell you that there is a difference when you cultivate yeast coming from your own plants, because the Vivancos are agave growers, so they own their own plants.
Okay.
So they're not they'll tell you on the labels, no, they're not using diffusers, they're not taking shortcuts. It's additive free. It's gluten free, but all tequila is gluten free. But if you're worried about that kind of stuff, it's on the label. Okay. What the hell, man? Brand of Promise nominee.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Category. It's beautiful. If you can find it, it's not available in California yet. It's getting here. You can buy it online. However, if you got Drizzly, you got the Drizzly app, download that, order it. You'll get it. You'll get it within days. And I can't say enough about it. I'm so glad that these guys, as young as they are taking the time to find a hell of a distillery to make their tequila.
Yes.
There are lots of, and again, that's not to cast any shade on maquiladoras that are making a lot of tequila for a lot of other people, because there are a lot of reputable maquiladoras, with many stellar brands coming out of there. But again, I have a soft spot in my heart for NOM 1414. So when you take this to a party and they say thank you, you say de nada.
Nada.
But that's our take on De Nada Tequila. You have been watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Yes, give us a like. Follow us. Subscribe unless you're afraid of commitment. Follow Skip on his Instagram. Leave us a comment, and as always, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.